The gospel reading today, when the apostles ask our Lord to increase their faith, which is an interesting thing that they're asking for. In other words, how do you do that? It's one thing to increase somebody's knowledge. I can teach you something and you can know something you didn't have before. It's one thing to increase somebody's strength. We can push and push and push and gain in strength. But to say increase our faith, that's something that can't come from the outside. That's something that has to come from the inside. That's something that we have to be able to do. So yes, we can pray and ask God for that, but ultimately it's asking for the disposition to be able to grow in strength, to have that desire and to have that disposition of heart to want to do that. And so when we look at the first reading, for instance, it's not about the faith per se, but it's about the wisdom of God and the Spirit of God. And it talks about how it doesn't enter into a body that's under the debt of sin. It flees deceit. It withdraws from senseless counsels. And all these things that it talks about. And we ask ourselves, how much of that am I responsible for? How often do I say or do stupid things? How often do I plot against others in whatever way? Maybe we're not actually going to carry it out, but how much time do we actually waste thinking negative things and plotting negative things? How is the wisdom of God going to enter into us if we're thinking things that would be ungodly? So if we want to increase our faith, we have to begin by getting rid of the things that go against the faith. So that doesn't mean merely, it certainly does include this, but not merely rejecting the things that are contrary to the truths of the faith. We obviously have to believe in everything that God has revealed and that the church teaches. But it also implies rejecting all of those things that go against the morality. All that pride, all that arrogance, all that selfishness, all that lack of charity, all those things that are against what we're professing to be. Because we can sit down and we can say, yes, I believe everything the church teaches, and I can still be a total jerk. And what good is that? So we could sit back and say, okay, I have the faith because I believe everything the church teaches. That's only one aspect of faith. The fact that you believe in the Trinity, or the fact that you believe in the Incarnation, and you can believe 100% in those things, and hopefully you do, because that's exactly what we're supposed to do, then let me challenge you, based on the fact that you know what the truth is, go outside after Mass and make the tree move that's out in front of the church. Because you have the faith, because you have 100% of it. No, that's just the intellectual knowledge. The faith the size of a mustard seed that's going to make a tree move is from the heart, not from the head. That's the moral point. So we need to believe every single thing that God has revealed. There isn't an option in that. Because if we don't have the virtue of faith. We might have a fair amount of faith in that sense. We don't have the virtue of faith if we're saying, well, I believe, but. There are no buts in this. We believe 100% of what God has revealed. Now, it's not just a matter of believing, for instance, that God exists or that He's a Trinity. It is the faith that is going to bring us to union with God, to be able to put into practice what it is that we're professing. What are the practical applications of what it is that we say? I mean, really, if you think about it, okay, I believe that God's a Trinity. What's that have to do with the day-to-day life that I live? Unless I get that out of my head and into my heart so that I can put it into practice, so that it begins to change my life to be conformed to what it is that I am professing. It is only when we have that kind of faith and that absolute confidence in God. Because again, same thing, you can believe in the Trinity, and then you're filled with anxiety, and you're trying to control things all by yourself because you have to be in control because we don't really believe that God is somehow. You begin to see, wait a minute, I have this intellectual faith that God exists and that He's a Trinity, but I don't really believe that He's got my best interest in mind. So I claim to believe that God is love, but I obviously don't believe that, because if I believe that He's love, then I believe that He loves me, and if He loves me, He wants only what's the best for me. If He wants only the best for me, why am I all worried and upset and anxious about all kinds of things? Because I don't really truly believe in my heart that He loves me. In my head, oh yeah, I know that. There's no problem. If anybody had a test, we could answer the questions correctly. Does God love you? Oh, absolutely. Does God want only the best for you? Absolutely. And then get down into the heart and ask ourselves, do we really honestly believe that? That's where the problem comes. It's not so much what's in your head. Yes, if you're not believing 100%, there's a problem in the head too. The problem is in the heart. That's where we need to really look at it. Nobody is going to make a tree move just because they believe in their head all of the things that the church teaches. It's necessary to believe all of those things. Not condemning that. It's absolutely 100% necessary. It is also 100% necessary to get it from the head into the heart, to make it transform our lives. Because head knowledge isn't going to transform our lives. Oh, there will be some changes that we'll make because of what we've got in our minds, but it's not going to be the transformation that we're looking for. So if we're going to ask the Lord to increase our faith, He's not just simply going to be looking at read your catechism and believe everything that's in there. He's going to be looking at our hearts. Do we have confidence? The word confidence means with faith. Do we have total 100% confidence in God based on what we know and believe in our minds? That's the part that the apostles are asking for. That's what God is going to be looking at with us. So, I guess you can figure it out. Go outside after Mass, tell the tree to move. If it doesn't, we don't even have faith the size of a mustard seed. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody else because I haven't made any trees move either. And so we're looking at something pretty microscopic in the amount of faith that we actually have. So just as I hope that maybe by the grace of God, by the time I die, I might be able to make my way up to being an unworthy servant who only did what I was supposed to do, because I've never done that. I also hope that maybe by the time I die, I'll actually have enough faith that it's the size of a mustard seed. Maybe. That's going to require a miracle on behalf of God to be able to do that. But it has to start by us doing exactly what the apostles did, to pray and to ask Him to increase our faith, even to become the size of a mustard seed.